Welcome to the Southern Weekend. Join us for a road trip full of thrills and chills. We're visiting some of the spookiest sights the South has to offer. We'll go ghost hunting. We'll zip through dark caverns, visit a museum of the bizarre, and get stalked by a creature so unforgettable we can't show it to you now. And as always, we'll try some frighteningly good food along the way. It's fall travel with a terrifying twist, so if you're brave enough, come join the adventure as we start the Southern Weekend. Hi everyone, I'm Molly McKinney. Fall is here, and with Halloween just around the corner, this adventure is a mix of fall fun and eerie experiences, starting right here in Asheville, North Carolina. Our first stop, the Haunted Asheville Mystery Museum, where we're going ghost hunting.
Ghost hunting is a lot like fishing. There's no guarantee anything's gonna happen. We might be sitting here for hours. On the other hand, this might be an exciting ride of a whole bunch of crazy. You never really know.
Tad McGivitt is Haunted Asheville's occult researcher. Call him a real-life ghostbuster, investigating supernatural stories from the basement of a 100-year-old Masonic temple.
First question, do you have any experience either in paranormal investigations or just kind of in this realm of the sciences? No. Okay. I'm gonna give you what I think are the best tools for someone to start with.
Okay.
I guess the basic one is this little bad boy right here. This is an EMF meter.
Looks like a stud finder.
It actually kind of is very similar. An EMF meter, that stands for electromagnetic field. A lot of paranormal investigators have noticed right before something weird happens, there is frequently a spike in electromagnetic activity. And the idea of using this tool, it doesn't detect the ghost. It detects what we think is an early warning sign that a ghost's about to do something. Does that make sense?
So when this goes off, I walk the opposite direction.
Yeah.
You go towards it, I'll
Towards
go
it.
away.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the laser grid, if there are any plasmas, clouds, things that might be hard to see under the naked eye, boom, they'll light up. So that way, if there's any things in that dark little corner, it should pop out.
Great. These are all things that I'm probably the only person that's hoping none of these.
None of them go off. Right, you're a ghost avoider, not so much a hunter, but that's okay.
So let me make sure I have this right.
Sure.
This measures the electromagnetic field that would detect or go off before an encounter happens.
Theoretically, yes.
Theoretically, and then this laser is what we use to see what we can't see.
Yes.
When it is present.
Yes, so we hope.
And then my feet are what I use to run away from both of these going on.
That is if they keep working. Follow me this way.
Our ghost hunt took us upstairs, where the building's spirits are said to have a flair for the dramatic.
Welcome to the theater.
Wow.
These backdrops were hand painted in the 1920s. The amount of love and tedious care and forethought that went into this building is why I think the spirits are here.
I can see why they wouldn't want to leave.
Poured so much love, attention, and detail. I mean, think about it. If you were the artist that painted these beautiful pieces, well, you might want to keep an eye on them post-mortem. It's a good environment to do paranormal investigations for beginners because there is stuff that happens around the building, but you know, you have artisans who are just keeping an eye on their legacy.
We went up to the theater's balcony and turned on our ghost hunting equipment.
Kind of what I'm doing is just giving you a lay of the land so that you can see all of the corners.
I think times
really,
10.
Oh, there's something around, huh?
Is that just because I turned it on?
Nope, there's something here. Although, no, there's no stage lights up here. Who knows?
You sure?
It's also, well, like I said, this is one of the rooms that tends to have the most activity.
I'm turning it off and back on.
Is it flickering on and
Oh,
off?
see, I think that's what it.
Oh yeah, that's actually, you have discovered an electromagnetic field ambiently around here. Another thing that we've noticed is that, okay, in a physics sense, frequently the very top story is where all of the electromagnetic energy goes, which is why I think more often than not, top stories and attics end up being where all the creepy stuff happens.
Attic fears are valid.
So we watched and waited. We searched on stage and peered into dark corners. But at the end of the night, we did plenty of hunting, but saw no ghosts.
Well, I have to admit, I'm kind of relieved that nothing jumped out.
Well, here's one of the things I like to point out to people. Like I said at the beginning, ghost hunting is a lot like fishing. Just because we didn't see anything doesn't necessarily mean that there was nothing there.
Still to come on our fall adventure, deep beneath a southern city lies an underground world of its own. And later, a quiet farm visit turns into a close encounter with a creature so powerful, you'll have to see it to believe it when the Southern Weekend continues. Welcome back to our frightening fun road trip across the South. Louisville, Kentucky is known for many things, like bourbon and thoroughbred horses.
And a cavern located underneath the city that you can explore on a zip line. That sounds really intense. Let's go check it out.
This place is like a fantasy world. There's so many things that you can do here. I had no idea this existed in Louisville. Taylor, what is the history of this cavern? Is it naturally forming or man-made?
It was an active limestone mine up until 1976. We started doing tourism attractions here in 2008.
I would never think of doing any of this stuff underground. It's such a neat concept. It's gotta be so exciting to watch folks come here for the first time.
We are a novel facility. We're the only ones in the world. We are the only ones with an underground bike park, underground zip lines, everything.
Look like I know what I'm doing. I have no idea what any of this stuff does. Looks important though. So I have done a zip line before. This one is a little different. It is 2 hours underground in a cavern in the dark. And so I'm real excited to do something a little outside of my comfort zone. Behind me is what they call the bunny zip, and it's just a place where we can practice. They clearly know what they're doing. This is a place for us to figure out what we're doing before we get on the big zip line. like that.
You want this?
Yeah, with the boots. Okay. One of the things that I thought was so fascinating doing the zipline tour is that you can actually see some of the geologic rock formation.
If you look behind you, that is the water dripping down on the stone and leaving the mineral deposit behind over time.
So are there still leftover elements from the earlier mine era that you can see
yes,
inside?
there are. Throughout the cavern, we have a lot of pillars and columns. So when they're blowing out all the dynamite, everything will just kind of fall down. And in order to make sure that the ceiling stays up, we have all of these columns, and they have 2 times the number of columns, and so it's actually a very safe facility.
What are all the different activities that one can do here? Walk me through those.
Okay, so we've got the tram tours, which are historic driving tours. You're on a Jeep with a trailer.
It's a mockumentary.
We've got the zip line tours. We're going to be zipping along on 3/4-inch stainless steel cables, completely fully guided. Your guides handle all of the equipment for you. There's a quest course. It's a ropes course. There are a total of 76 elements on there, including a couple of short zip lines, suspension bridges. In addition to that, we have the Mega Bike Park. We primarily cater toward BMX, trail, and mountain bike sort of riding. The perimeter for that is like 1.5 miles. There are probably 6 miles worth of trails inside there. And we also have the electric bike tours that we're doing. That's our most recent thing that we've just started doing this past summer.
Well, thank you so much. This has
no
been so
problem,
neat. I
guys.
had no idea this was here. Yeah.
After zipping through Louisville, we were ready for pizza. So we found a restaurant with a very fitting name and some very unusual decor.
We are at a spot called Garage Bar. I'm here with executive chef Richard. So how did you guys come up with the name Garage Bar?
Well, it was actually very simple. It was a garage here. Garage has been here since about the 50s.
I would not think of a garage for auto parts. You kind of think dirty as being a place for beautiful cuisine like this.
Well, that's part of what makes it really cool is you see the outside of the building and you're just kind of like, it's a garage. But then you walk inside and you see like all the reclaimed wood and everything like that, and you're like, whoa, this place really has character and a lot of love to it.
How do you come up with the ideas for all of these different spreads?
Well, what basic thing I always start from is the idea of I want to keep the food local and seasonal. So the ingredients are the best they can be. They're super fresh, they're sweet, and then we just don't mess them up. And like, how can we turn it into a pizza, do something cool with it?
That's a great approach. Well, I'd love to try these if we can. Does that work?
Dig in. This is the Brussels sprout pie. This is one of my favorites. With the Brussels sprouts, we shave them so that way they can cook in the oven just the right amount.
Oh, yeah. So tell me about this sculpture.
It's called The Slow Inevitable Death of American Muscle. It's by Jonathan Shear. One of the aspects of it is it's 2 cars crashing. You know, that big exciting scene in every movie. But he slowed it down. It only moves about 1/4 inch an hour. So it takes months for the crash to actually happen.
Well, what does that symbolize? Why put that here? Is it because of the garage dynamic? Or?
The garage dynamic, but it's also that idea of taking something old and using it in a new way. Kind of like the garage here. Like, it wasn't being used for that purpose anymore, but we're able to use it in a new way that's interesting and exciting and gets people talking about it.
Do you feel inclined, being in the South, to stick to Southern recipes?
So we always put like a Southern spin on everything, but kind of bringing it into the modern era. And I love the fact that I'm able to take kind of your everyday food and think about a different way that we can put it together with ingredients and give you something that you recognize, but you sit there and you're kind of like, I could never make that.
So who are your typical customers that come in?
We kind of break all the divides. A lot of people would label us as hipster joint, but it's like hipster joint, and look over there, there's a family, and over there's a couple in their 80s. The sense of community here is fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Chef. I really appreciate your time. This is great.
Thank you for coming in. Glad to have people here. I always love talking about the food, and I think we should go play some ping pong.
Yeah? I think so too. Let's do it.
Coming up, with a name like the Museum of the Bizarre, you're sure to get a fright or two. And later, it may look like an ordinary farm, but what we experienced there will stay with us forever. All that and more when this spooky edition of the Southern Weekend continues. If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more anytime you want it at thesouthernweekend.com. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. I'm Molly McKinney. There are fantastic museums located all across the South that feature exhibits on just about any topic you're interested in. And since it's Halloween season, we decided to visit a museum that focuses on artifacts that are a little more bizarre. Do you know how many items you have on display?
I haven't counted them, but there's well over 1,000.
Gosh. Where does it all come from?
Everywhere around the country, sideshows. I really like sideshow stuff. I'm big into the macabre and things that have history, artifacts. I mean, it's definitely a good home here for them all.
So were you collecting this stuff over the years before it was on display here?
For about 20 years, I owned one of the biggest tattoo studios on the East Coast, and that gave me the opportunity to find all kinds of weird stuff when I go to conventions in different cities. So I've been collecting all kinds of stuff in jars and in plaques for a good 20 years, and some of the more rare stuff like, like Harry Houdini's Ouija board and all kinds of odd stuff that people just wouldn't have. Well, I've always liked Ripley's Believe It or Not, but it just wasn't over the edge enough for me.
This is definitely over the edge.
I really like the idea that they came up with on how they display things. So I decided, I can do this. This is no problem. And here it is.
Was this stuff all in your house at one point in time?
Yeah, the deal was I had to figure out what to do with this stuff, so I came up with the idea to open up a museum.
I can imagine your wife.
She was happy it all kind of went out of the house.
What was that like bringing her back to your place for one of your first dates? Did you warn her ahead of time that you had quite the eclectic collection in the home?
She liked the Exorcist kit that was sitting next to my bed, but
Made her feel pretty safe.
And I like to collect a lot of local artifacts, like this palm reading machine from the 1930s, I believe, but it was here in Wilmington at Johnny Mercer Pier in the 60s is what I was told from the guy I got it from.
Some of this is a little unsettling, I have to be honest.
Heads in jars,
Yeah.
hands in jars.
Yeah. I think I'd be afraid to work here.
Some of the employees, and they've seen things, and definitely on the cameras.
Beyond what's on display.
Yes, shadows that are looming across like the one lady that works here, she said she saw an image of a deer going across the white on the wall, and we have an albino ghost deer on as display.
I've never heard of animal ghosts.
They're out there.
There's a lot of fog in here.
It is. It's probably from this cauldron thing. It kicks up every now and then. You know, it's an active cauldron. Got that up in Pennsylvania. It's a 150-year-old cauldron that was used supposedly by a witch in Marietta. Who wouldn't want a witch's cauldron?
Me. Is there evidence of your spiritual belief system here?
I'm spiritual and I believe in everything ghouly and ghosty and religious. I grew up in York, Pennsylvania, and I was around the Amish a lot, and I was always interested in the hex signs they had on their barns. What they do is they put a hex sign to keep the evil out of their barns. Well, I purchased and acquired a hex sign for every entrance and doorway of the museum, so instead of keeping things out, we're keeping everything in.
Really?
So it'll...
Do you do that for you, or do you do that for the Wilmington community? Or?
I do that for all of us. There are bad things out there, and we don't want them to tag along with everyone.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Or you, maybe.
That would be great.
They won't follow you home.
Since I'm spooked out around every corner in here.
When our spooky southern road trip continues, it's not fall without apple picking. And of course, a ride in a hearse? That and much more when we return. Halloween season is here, which means ghosts, goblins, and plenty of chocolate goodies. So on our recent trip to Memphis, we visited Philip Ashley, who uses chocolate and creativity to create edible art.
Philip, as a travel show host, I thought I had the best job out there, but sitting across from a designer chocolatier, you may have me beat.
Okay.
How did you get into this business?
I was in corporate sales for a number of years. Just laying in bed one day, 3 o'clock in the morning, woke up out of my sleep and was like, man, how cool would it be to be a chocolatier. It was an evolution. This has been literally like an 8-9 year process. And so I just started researching everything, read everything that I could. I really kind of focused on the 3 areas of the chemistry and the history and the artistry of chocolate.
You're combining ingredients that aren't the traditional chocolate ingredients. It's not just coconut and caramel.
I'm inspired by the people I meet, the food I eat, the conversations I have, the things I read. We spend a lot of time designing or engineering the flavor. We're not just randomly coming up with chocolates. There's a thoughtful process.
What's in the Memphis, for
So
instance?
Memphis is a barbecue chocolate. And so I'm researching how are the barbecue masters making their ribs and things like that. And so you kind of get that essence of, well, if you're in Memphis in May and you're going to the barbecue fest, you know, this will transport you there in November.
What do you think is the most important thing from a presentation standpoint?
Just to be authentic, something that is truly representative of the message. I think that's in any form of art. For instance, like this one here called Magma. It's, you know, black, red, and white to kind of, and it looks like a little stone to look like a piece of molten rock in a sense.
Well, I would love to see how you do some of the artwork.
Yeah, we'll do a little painting and stuff, yeah. You know, we're airbrushing. This is a pretty straightforward, you know, just creating a solid texture.
So what are you using to airbrush? What is the color?
This green is actual cocoa butter. So it's a cocoa butter. So it's natural. It's a food product.
It's not a paint.
It's all edible. You can eat this.
And so you do this to the base of the mold, and then you pour the chocolate
exactly.
in?
We're gonna let you try it for a second. Basically, this is the trigger here. Okay. So this finger there. So almost like you're holding a pen, and just spray right into the center. Hold it in a bit closer. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Cooking now. Yeah, we're gonna have to put you to work. We're gonna have to put you to work. And this is ultimately what you would come out with. But we ultimately want it to look like it was just like, okay, it just exists. That's the goal. That's why we paint them. That's why we do all those things to it, because we want the chocolate to look like it was just born that way.
Do you eat your own chocolates very often?
Really never, and it's just a personal thing. I'm tasting it through, I'm just making sure the balance is there and all that sort of thing. But once it's finished, I look at it as something for other folks, like I'm sharing this.
Will you make an exception for me?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Can we eat a chocolate
yes,
together?
I will. So
I think I want to try
you go
the
for the
Memphis.
barbecue,
Yeah.
yes, and I will do the Grizness. Also, cheers. And see, like that, you should get that crunch from the shell, and then like the ganache center.
You do taste a little bit of barbecue seasoning, or I don't know if it's sauce, but it's very mild.
Yeah,
it's
you don't
really
want
good.
to get smacked in the face with it. Want the chocolate to be overpowered. The ingredient is there, but the chocolate's still the star of the show. We just don't want to give you plain chocolate. So.
Up next on the Southern Weekend, we've teased you long enough. This South Carolina farm may look normal, quiet, even peaceful, but lurking in the shadows is a creature so determined, so unrelenting, so... Oh, who are we kidding? Get ready to experience one of the cutest things we've ever seen when the Southern Weekend continues. Welcome back to this fall travel edition of the Southern Weekend. Clemson is located in a really rural part of South Carolina, so there are lots of farms and green space nearby. And within just a 10-minute drive of the university is Split Creek Goat Farm. So I love animals. I had to make this a pit stop. I'm excited to go check it out. So how long have you been here?
Since 1993.
So you like it here?
Yeah, a little bit.
What is it that got you to stay all this time?
The love of the animals and wanting to see a farm succeed.
How many animals do you have here?
Depends on the day. Right now, I think we've got about 450 total. Yeah, a little bit of everything. It's kind of a zoo and a farm.
I love that you all are open to the public, that as a tourist I can come to a real working farm and oversee this operation.
Yeah, and we want the public to see what a working farm is all about, what we do here.
Not everybody gets to see that these days. I'd love to see inside the barn if it's okay.
Sure.
You mind showing me? Oh, wow, what's that noise?
That is the motor for the milking machine. Yeah, we milk twice a day, every day, rain or shine or Christmas mornings.
You all make a lot of products.
Oh yeah, to make our cheese, to make our soap, to make our fudge, to make our lotions, our yogurts. So these are our babies.
Oh my gosh, they're so little.
Hi, baby. Her name is Slipper. She's our last baby born for this year. Do you want to come out and say hello? Yes?
Look at her little tail. Is Slipper a girl or a boy?
Slipper is a girl.
Hi.
Here, you hold her.
I will gladly. Oh, hi. How old is Slipper?
Slipper is 10 days old.
How many goats did you start with on the farm?
Evan, who started this farm originally in 1977, she started out with one goat named Sarah. And all of our Alpines and our Nubians originated from that one goat named Sarah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
We outcross. We bring in a new boy here or there, but but the DNA can trace back to that one girl.
I want to take her home. I can, right? That's part of the tour. Everyone gets to take home a baby goat.
Free goat.
I'm sold. Fun. Do you have room for me on the farm?
Oh
Can
yeah.
I just come?
Yeah.
Can I just come stay here forever? You want to go back with your friends? Thank you for letting me hold you. Oh, gosh.
Go be with your brother. Go on.
Oh no! She wants to come back. It's a sign.
She can probably come with us.
This will be good. We're training her for being a tour guide on the farm. We start at 10 days old.
Yeah.
We can bring her with us.
Yes.
I got you a grill.
Would you walk with us? Well. Come on, let's go.
So obviously goats aren't the only animals here at Split Creek.
So one of our rescue pigs, unbeknownst to us, was pregnant. So here are the results of that.
Oh my gosh! What kind of pigs are these?
They're miniature potbelly pigs.
Hi, little guys.
So we're working on socialization.
How old are they?
They're 3 weeks old now.
Oh, you guys have some teeth in
They
there.
do have some
I didn't
teeth,
realize
yeah.
that. Milk time.
All right, here's dinner.
Is this goat's milk?
It is, yeah.
Really?
So goat's milk is good for everybody.
I didn't realize that you could give goat's milk across species.
Oh yeah. Goat's milk is sort of like the universal donor.
Really?
People that are lactose intolerant can usually handle goat's milk when they can't handle other.
Why is that?
It's got shorter chain fatty acids, so your body can break it down, process it easier. They can be transferred to goat's milk and do very well.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What a great base for all of your products.
Exactly.
It seems like all the chickens are free range here.
Yeah, this is total free range. They roost in the trees at night. We don't cage them up at all. We do have some nesting boxes.
Are there eggs in here now?
Yeah, they take
Really? Can I take one out?
Yeah, you sure can. So somebody just laid this one. Yeah.
I've never felt that before. Wow.
So we'll collect these eggs every day, and then we'll box them up and sell them in our shop.
Are these different colors because they came from different species?
Yes, and it's actually the color of a chicken's earlobe. Will tell you the color of egg they lay.
I feel like you could be making this up and I'd be
No.
like, wow.
It's true.
Telling
It's
this
true.
later to someone.
Yeah. And then people say I didn't know chickens had earlobes, but they do.
I didn't know that either.
So there you go. Wow. Here's an omelet for you.
The more you know. That's so rare to be able to tour a facility and see the start to finish of a process and
Yeah.
get to eat it.
Exactly. That's the bonus of all.
Let's be real, that's
all
what
the-
I'm excited about.
Yes.
So what do we have here?
This is our chèvre, which is a French-style sliceable cheese. We're sampling a pesto. This is our award-winning feta, marinated in olive oil with sun-dried tomatoes and an Italian herb mix. And of course, the to die for goat milk fudge.
I'll start with this one because it seems like the easiest.
Thank
Whoa, oh my gosh. Man,
Yeah.
don't change a thing about those recipes.
Thank you.
I
Thank
could
you.
eat those all day. I haven't even gotten to the fudge. I don't think
That's
you can
the
do
best.
anything wrong with
That's
fudge.
the best. And this one is a plain. We also do a pecan, walnut, and chocolate peanut butter layered.
Of course you do. So I can hold baby goats here. I can eat all of this. I'm gonna
Very
have
good.
to settle up here for life.
Not good.
Yeah, this is my last episode of the Southern Weekend. I'm gonna become a goat farmer. You'll know where to find me. Come visit. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Still to come, we're visiting what many consider the most haunted city in America for a ghost tour in a very appropriate vehicle. And later, it's not scary, but it is special. See how one man's passion for the past grew into a collection future generations will enjoy for years to come. That and more, coming up on the Southern Weekend. Savannah is one of those great southern cities where you can really feel the ghosts of the past almost lingering in the alleys as you explore. So I'm going ghost hunting, and I think my ride is here. Founded in 2002, Hearst Ghost Tours gives visitors a taste of Savannah's haunted history while they ride in a real hearse that operated for more than 15 years. Well, I guess sitting in a hearse in a graveyard is an appropriate time to talk about Savannah's history with paranormal activity.
You said the key word, history. There is over 10,000 years of human history in this particular area. The high and dry bluff that now supports the riverfront district was utilized by the native tribes solely as sacred burial grounds. You definitely have a mass accumulation of bodies and souls under the soil.
Where do the ghost stories come from that people hear on the tours?
There were things along the way that I learned were Savannah myth and legends, the ghost stories that people started to share with me, and the historic element as well. I kind of love how it became a much wider picture than just ghost tales. I've learned that the history and the truth of town is much more interesting than the myth and legend of the place.
As comfortable as I am sitting in the graveyard with you, I wouldn't mind getting on the streets of Savannah.
And as an ambassador of this city of Savannah, I'd be more than delighted to drive you around.
This is now the Blackshear neighborhood. This is Old Gullah neighborhood here. This was one of the sections of the city as to where if you were in search of the conjurers and the witch doctors, and they tell you stories of shapeshifters, and they were very convinced that people with these capabilities lived amongst their communities.
When people tell me of a ghost encounter that they experienced, I wasn't there, so I kind of just have to take their word for it. But I ended up doing a lot of back research. And what I do find is that a lot of the history really support these encounters that people say that they have.
Up next, we're heading back to Asheville, North Carolina for some traditional fall fun and some pretty amazing donuts. If you want to see more from any of our road trips, check out thesouthernweekend.com. You'll find videos of our adventures across the South, as well as great tips and recipes. All that and more, anytime you want it, at thesouthernweekend.com. Welcome back to the Southern Weekend. I'm Molly McKinney, and one of the things I love about the fall is the opportunity to spend time outdoors. And it doesn't get much better than apple picking in a mountaintop orchard. Then throw in some apple cider donuts into the mix, and you've got yourself a pretty perfect fall day.
I think of apple picking as being a fall season. Is there a season for picking apples?
All apples in this country come in the fall, no matter where you live. It might be a month earlier or a few weeks later. We start picking our first varieties August 1st, and then our last varieties the end of November.
How many different species of apples do you have on the farm?
We raise about 25 different varieties. Everybody likes something different.
What are your all's favorites?
Mine is Gold Rush. Well, you'll never see it in the grocery, but it's a phenomenal flavor. It ripens in October, and the apple actually looks like you dipped it in gold dust.
Of course, everybody knows the Honeycrisp now. They know the Gala, they know the Fuji. We also grow a few apples that not many people see in the grocery store anymore, like Jonathan's, Jonna Golds. We even, a lot of our folks that have been coming for a long time like the Stamens. We grow an Arkansas Black, which is a really hard late apple.
Which was around during Thomas Jefferson's time.
Really?
Arkansas Black.
We have
it's an
record
heirloom
of him
apple.
eating this?
Yes, he actually had them planted.
Taste of history.
Yes.
Well, and I love that you all can use this product for so many other products here on the farm.
Not only do people get to take home fresh apples with them, but if they visit our store, they can take home fresh apple cider we make from our apples. We also have
apple pie. I've done my
pie
research.
kitchen.
Don't you worry.
You've already.
There's a big one you're not bringing up right now that I'm real excited about.
Which one is that?
The donuts.
The apple donuts. Everyone loves the donuts.
Well, I'm excited to check them out.
Let's
yeah,
go
they're
see 'em.
great.
Is this where the donuts are made?
Yes, it is. We're going to take it over there to our donut machine. Kind of get everything down to where it's in the bottom so it just comes right out.
Okay.
This machine.
And then you pour it in here?
Yeah. So here, the trick is to not pour it too fast, but whenever you got 75, 100 customers, you can't exactly pour slow.
What's the science that goes into it? Is it the temperature of the batter? Is it the ingredients of the batter and getting that down?
The most important thing is the cider. And we run out of cider, then we usually get it as it's pressed and then walk it straight in here.
The perks of being on an apple orchard, huh?
So everything is on and heated up, and we are going to turn on this right here that actually drops the donuts out. And now it's going to start right there.
That is so cool. And it flips them too?
Yeah. Halfway through, it flips it over, so the underside cooks, and then it flips it and does the top side. We cook them for 125 seconds.
So you can turn around a lot of donuts on a busy weekend.
We have 7 machines on slower days. We might just run 1, but you can definitely get quite a few donuts coming out here pretty fast. And it gets pretty hot when they're all going.
And so do you just package these and you can come in whenever you want and just get them off the shelf?
No, when it's busy, it's sometimes within that less than 30-second range when they come off to when you buy them. And
that's your turnaround time, 30 seconds. So you're only selling fresh donuts?
Yes. 70% of the time, the donut is probably out of the oil for less than a minute before you get it.
Before you eat it. Alrighty.
Okay.
So I just dump them in here?
Yeah. Take the donuts, put them in there. So if they're hot, all you have to do is just hit both sides in the top one right there.
Okay.
So if you just flip
Go
that
a
one
little
over.
workspace. Wow.
And so you don't even have to do that much.
Oh, so that was a little aggressive then. Oh, they're so soft and warm. Like that?
Yep.
Voila. I'd love to eat all of these
There you go.
myself, but I feel like I should share them, so I'm gonna go get an expert opinion. Well, it didn't take me long to find the donut. I'm so excited to try this. Josh showed me not all the secrets, some of the secrets.
Well, good. We hope you enjoy the donut.
Oh man,
They are good.
this is delicious. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna eat all of these. I'll take yours back too.
We've got one more fall adventure to go. A trip to Knoxville, Tennessee, and a place where history, family, and stories of the South combine in an amazing setting. Stay with us. Fall is one of the best times to travel across the South. The leaves change, the temperatures turn crisp and cool, and it's a perfect opportunity to experience some of our rich history. At the Museum of Appalachia, just outside Knoxville, Tennessee, they say, let the past touch your soul. And that's exactly what we did.
We wanted to be kind of a step back in time in like late 1700s, early 1800s, to get a sense for how the people in the southern Appalachian region in this area lived during that time.
How did this come about in your family?
Well, my grandfather, John Rice Irwin, is the founder and really collected everything here. From the time he was really young, he always had a fascination with the people of this region. And he just wanted to hear their stories and just to talk to them. He would just go up in the mountains and go and talk to people, sit in their living room and ask questions about their lives and about how they grew up. And when they would tell him stories, lots of times they were centered around or at least associated with items, you know, something that they made, something that they used, like something that was special to them. So he started just collecting items from those folks and bringing them here. Everything here is authentic. It's all been moved here and then reassembled, but yeah, it's a collection. It's really his life's work and has grown over the past 50 years now. The space itself is about 65 acres, and we have about 40 buildings that sit on the property. There are two kind of big display buildings that house exhibits, like collections of things that he's accumulated. So like baskets or musical instruments or famous Tennesseans, things like that. And then what we call like the Pioneer Village, and that's another 35 or so buildings in their old homes. There's a church, there's a schoolhouse, a blacksmith shop, a loom shop, barns, and all kinds of different things.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm Molly.
I'm Tina. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I would love to learn how this works.
What we can do is you can hold the fiber source and I'll draft off of the fiber source.
This is all very characteristic of what the early pioneers
Oh
would
yes. All the fiber that I spin here at the museum is from their own sheep. You know, each sheep breed has its own characteristics. Some are very soft and silky. This is a very springy, so it makes a very elastic yarn.
Is this what it looks like when it comes off the sheep?
No, when it comes off the sheep, it's like a big blanket. You have to wash it and then brush it or comb it. And these are the brushes that I use for brushing the wool.
Like dog brushes.
Like dog brushes, but much bigger. And here are some of the fleece.
Wow, I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Let me get a little bit more of that, and I can show you the carding process quickly. So that's what it looks like, what I want it to look like. So what I'm looking for is something that's going to be easy to spin than the locks. And so then I'll roll this up, and it makes it something that's going to be easier to spin.
This looks like a lot of work.
Well, Molly works the same way it's been working for thousands of years. Either the threads are up or they're down, and I can get them to go up or down by using the treadles. That means the threads are changing places. So are you ready to try the shuttles? The shuttle's over here.
Okay.
So it's on the right.
So the right.
The treadle.
Okay, like that.
Now, put the shuttle right through the shed.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah. Now you're ready to beat.
Okay.
This part.
Oh. And I just
ready? Pull it.
Okay.
Now let go of the
right paddle.
Treadle. Yeah.
Okay.
We got the left one down. See, it's in.
Wow.
You did it. Put that on your resume.
Is this pretty similar to what they would have had?
This loom is probably from the mid-1800s. This is a uniquely Southern Appalachian loom.
Gosh, did one person usually do this?
Yes. Rule of thumb is that it takes 3 spinners to keep a weaver busy. This is only 11 yards that I put on here for placemat, but they would put 100 yards on the back of this loom.
We're doing 11?
Well, you think about it though. They were making cloth that was going to be used for blankets, sheets, towels, clothing, coats, anything for the family.
It's really special to be preserving a piece of heritage. Yes. I mean, this was something internationally that's been going on for thousands of years, like you said. But.
Right. We always tell the little kids, think about the mummies in the pyramids, right? And I'll say, somebody had to weave that linen cloth. So that's thousands of years ago. And they're going, lots to think about. That's what I want kids to do, think about it.
I love that what started out as an inward passion for your grandfather has now touched so many different lives.
It's interesting. He loved the stories. He wanted to remember them and preserve them. And then he realized once he kind of started the museum that other people were really interested in that too. I think that's what makes this place really unique and special.
That does it for this edition of the Southern Weekend. Make sure to catch our next episode debuting in November. We'll take another great road trip across the South, but next time, it's all about the food. Until then, I'm Molly McKinney. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Southern Weekend.